Hi, I'm Rosie.
And I'm Jim.
And this is Cruising Sea Venture.
We're taking the summer of 2017 to cruise the waters of British Columbia.
In this episode, Everett, Washington to Princess Louisa Inlet in British Columbia.
The to-do list is done, so let's go.
There, we left a dreary Everett. Actually, it's okay, it just kind of looks dreary from here. We arrived at our first destination, Hope Island. We took the dinghy to shore to check out the rocky beach. Hey, kid. We're approaching Deception Pass.
Deception Pass is our first pass requiring that we time it with the slack current. The currents through the pass is caused by the tides going up and down, so it switches direction every 6 hours, and it can run up to 8 knots. So we time it right in between the change when it's going from one direction to the next, so it's slack water.
Approaching Anacortes to buy fuel.
Right, it's time for our first tech talk, as in technical, kind of like a TED talk with no profound sayings or thoughts. So I wanted to occasionally go over some technical aspects of operating a vessel like Sea Venture. And so if you're not interested in those technical aspects, you can fast forward to the end of me talking. But today's tech talk topic is going to be fuel. Fuel usage and management aboard a vessel like Sea Venture. And the reason we're making this today's topic is because we're going to buy fuel today in Anacortes on day 2 of our trip. So into the technical aspects of fueling and managing the fuel aboard Sea Venture and how we keep track of what we use and all those good things. So Sea Venture has 4 fuel tanks. If you saw in episode 1, we kind of sped through an engine room check, and you can see in the background 2 big tanks there. Those are actually water tanks, not the fuel tanks. But we'll talk about water management and usage later on a different tech talk. Our fuel capacity on Sea Venture is 2,158 gallons of diesel fuel. Spread between those 4 tanks. We measure the fuel in 2 different ways. We have a dipstick that we can literally put into each tank to measure our fuel, and we also then track the fuel based on the hours and knowing how much fuel our engines burn and the generator burns. So as of right now, we have about 1,200 gallons, maybe a little bit less than that. I didn't look at our daily log before I started, so it's somewhere right around there. When we're cruising, our 2 engines combined burn 3.15 gallons per hour. And so we're able to take the engine hours each day and multiply it by that in our daily cruising log and track our fuel burn. It's surprisingly consistent and accurate, and one reason that it is because we have pretty meticulous records of the fuel usage over about 60,000 nautical miles of cruising, and so by constantly doing the math and checking the dipstick, it works out really well. We also have a 16 kilowatt Northern Lights generator that burns right about 1 gallon per hour. It varies depending on the load, but 1 gallon per hour average turns out to be pretty accurate. The goal today at Anacortes is to buy over 750 gallons, and the only reason that's relevant is that the marina in Anacortes happens to provide a substantial discount. It's like 40 cents a gallon. If you purchase over 750 gallons, I think our capacity right now is about 950 more gallons. And so we should be good to buy our 750 gallons spread out between all 4 tanks. It may seem like a lot of fuel, but we don't actually use that much fuel when we're cruising. So while we'll have maybe almost 2,000 gallons on board when we're done cruising today, we will not buy fuel again all summer long. We expect, in fact, we'll use about 1,200 gallons of fuel over the course of this 3.5-month trip. So spread out, it becomes reasonably economical. With 2,158 gallons of capacity and burning at the rate of 3.15 gallons per hour, if we factor in a 10% reserve, that is, we'll never allow the fuel to go below 10% of our total capacity on board, and you factor in some reasonable amount of generator time, it gives us about a 4,300 nautical mile range, or about 32 days of continuous non-stop cruising. Not that we would actually want to be at sea for 32 continuous days, but Sea Venture is capable of doing it if you're willing to go for the ride.
Cruising through the San Juan Islands.
What you making of?
Bruschetta.
Bruschetta?
Bruschetta. Yeah, well, with what we have in stock.
Wow. Anchored at Prevost Harbor on Stewart Island, our last stop in the United States.
All right, we're walking what feels like an obligatory walk to the Lighthouse when we stay at Stewart Island, either from Reed Harbor or Prevost. But it's much easier from Prevost because you avoid one really big hill. Anyway,
it's the
here we go.
Turnpoint Lighthouse, and we literally have been hiking to this lighthouse for 25 years.
And here we go again. Here's a resting area.
So for all the years we've been coming here, down the road this way, a mile or so, is the schoolhouse. There's a one-room schoolhouse on Stewart Island. It's really cool. And for all these years, they've always done this. They've got Stewart Island and Turnpoint Lighthouse.
Like a treasure chest.
Treasure chest with t-shirts and postcards and hats and sweatshirts and more in the drawer. And this is done totally on the honor system. You just take what you want, and each item comes with an envelope that tells you how much it cost and where to mail off your payment when you get back home. It's always been that way. It's been great. It's cool. You get to go to these little remote places and see some honor system stuff like that works. I like that. All right, we're at the Turnpoint Lighthouse on Stewart Island. It's not often you get a tour of an outhouse, but this one is worth the tour.
Come check it out.
This is the park composting toilet outhouse, complete with a window, curtains, paintings, coat rack, complete with hat, a lighthouse, of course, and flowers. Anyway, the Turnpoint Lighthouse outhouse. So this lighthouse and gatekeeper's house went into operation in 1893 and was continuously manned until the light was automated in 1974. And it's called Turnpoint because there's this big ass turn here. We're on the northwest tip of Stewart Island, all the islands you see in the distance are Canada. And this is the main shipping channel actually to Vancouver, British Columbia, and they've got to make a 90-degree turn out here. Thus, turn point. Yes. James Addington. My wife Rosalinda Addington.
Anyone else?
Just our cat Trooper.
Okay, so just the two of you and the cat. Okay, which marina are you coming to?
So we wanted to go to Ganges Harbor and anchor from Stewart Island in the San Juans.
Okay, your clearance number is 2000.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. And that is how you do that.
All right, put her up. Our courtesy flag.
It's been cleared in for 100 days.
Woohoo! Cruising into Ganges.
Walking around in Ganges looking for the farmer's market. I think we found it.
Canadian Coast Guard boat. Maybe I'm a little.
Search and rescue boat.
Yeah, may they never need to come find us with his
But I
dinghy.
would like to point out that the Canadian Coast Guard boat has the exact same 2.3 horsepower Honda
Honda.
air-cooled engine sitting up on the rail that we do. I don't know why they would have that.
I don't know.
Think they got an 8-foot inflatable in there?
Maybe. Here's a float plane.
Baby barely fit around the corner in at this dock.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh, yeah.
Over there, yep.
And then there's another one blending in right there.
Oh, there's a purple one out there
Yeah.
with 5 legs.
Oh, yeah. There he is.
That one has 5 too. She's kind of...
Crab.
Where's the crab?
You see? I think he went over. See that yellow thing?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for showing it to us.
This is just fine.
Those are good. Now we need to go to the liquor store for the beer.
Because in Canada, it's not at the grocery store.
Nope, not at the grocery store. Dingy Dock, which happens to be right by the grocery store. We've
Like 150 feet from the grocery store.
Yeah,
and
very
even a little closer to the liquor store.
yeah, we got a backpack full of food. We got a little extra bread and plenty of beer, so I think we're good to go.
We left Ganges Harbor and headed across the channel to Selby Bay. The winds provided a better anchorage for the night, so we went in the dinghy and checked out the bay while we were there. Another calm day in the Canadian Gulf Islands. We're on our way across the Strait of Georgia to Secret Cove. Our planned route for the day takes us through the Gulf Islands.
Here, look at these guys.
Through Poilier Pass, which we have to time with the slack tide at 8 a.m. in about an hour and a half. and then the run up across the Strait of Georgia directly to Secret Cove. Secret Cove. Or maybe we're going to Smuggler's Cove, Rosie said. We'll make that Smuggler's Cove, which is right next to Secret Cove.
All right, we're getting ready to go through Poiler Pass. It's between Galiano Island and Valdez Island, heading out to the strait. We're hitting it a little bit after slack, like half hour. So we expect a couple knots of current to push us through. Here you can see it on the chart. We're just getting ready to go through this pass. The current arrow indicates that while it can run up to 9 knots, right now it's at 2.3 knots. We are arriving at Smuggler's Cove, which is a small anchorage with an even smaller entrance.
Well, the entrance is really small. We just go slow, steady, stay in the middle, pay attention to our chart, and it all works out great.
We went to shore at Smuggler's Cove and walked around on the trails that they have there. It was actually really nice to get off the boat and stretch our legs a bit. The trails are accessible by road and by boat. They have beautiful boardwalks and as you can see, they are all well maintained.
Lots of great scenery, lots of fun. And we had great weather while we were there as well. Like the mid-70s, which is really warm for this time of year here. But it was great. Alright, we just brought the dinghy to the beach at Buccaneer Bay here because it's a white sandy beach, but it's really low tide, so it's more mudflat beach. The white sand's over here. But we failed. We failed to film the best part. As Rosie was jumping out of the dinghy, she cut the auto inflate thing on her dinghy, on her life jacket, on the edge of the dinghy, so she was climbing out. Poof! Full-size life jacket. Thankfully we've got extra CO2 cartridges, but what the heck, it was hilarious. I wish I caught it on tape. Just the look on her face was kind of priceless. Since her life jacket went off in 2 feet of water. All right, let's go check out the beach here.
Yep. Behavior rewarded.
Morning coffee in the Harmony Islands. It was a great cruise here yesterday, and we spent the last 2 hours cruising and never saw another boat. So boating comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes, as I said before, and this is the kind of place that we really, really enjoy. Here's Rosie having her morning coffee and looking at our trail book, and maybe she'll talk more about our trail books that we have for the BC coast later that tell us where we can go hike.
Maybe.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
And this is our view for the morning coffee. Looking out over the Harmony Islands and then up to the mountains. It has some snow on them.
But look at them. Oh, you got the camera good. There he goes.
Here we're cruising toward Princess Louisa Inlet. And we're taking 2-hour shifts. So Rosie's sleeping right now, I think in the salon. I think that's what she's doing. We'll go check it out. And then I'll show you, we gotta check out what we're cruising by. She's pretty cool. Let's go see if we can find Rosie in the salon. Yeah, there she is in the corner sleeping. This is like going to Princess Louisa. This is what it looks like. This is the kind of stuff you're like cruising right past these mountains. Security. Motor vessel Sea Venture entering Malibu Rapids northbound. Any concerned or opposing traffic, please respond. Look at this, Rose. Around us.
It's pretty spectacular. What Jim looks like filming this silly waterfall. Chatterbox Falls, and Jim is rowing us out into the current, and you're having to work at it just a little bit.
A little bit.
We're going to get out here and let it push us back out into the bay.
Hey, thanks for watching episode 2. We hope you enjoyed it. Coming up next will be episode 3, and in it will be...
We'll be talking about leaving Princess Louisa Inlet. We'll visit some rapids during full flow instead of slack tide, and visiting some BC parks. We'll end up in Campbell River.
And then we have to have a signature sign-off. Remember I talked about that at the end of episode 1 if you watch that. And, normally for sailing it's... wishing you fair winds and following seas, but that's really kind of a sailing thing, so we decided our signature sign-off would be a wishing you no wind and flat seas. Until next time, bye.
Thanks for watching.